Morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Hopefully subscribe, like, comment, share to friends and loved ones, and welcome back to another No More Future. Last we left off, there were a couple of children down the street that was about to stumble upon our friend Isaac here with his metallic freakish body, I guess. I don't know, man. It's kind of cool to see a furry Terminator. A friendly Terminator, I guess. Wait, have I read that? Wait a minute. Search the rest of the Lord you met today. Yeah. All but one, that is. Hey, mister. Could you throw that back our way? The rest of the kids hastily covered the young boy's mouth with their hands, likely fearing retribution from either you or their supervisors. Or maybe they're scared you'll kill them and take their place like that one host from today's talk show. Hard to know for certain these days. Upon noticing the kids but not their worried expressions, it seems Nem's annoyed frown softens considerably and he eagerly promises them his help. Sure, 1 second, just gotta... The dragon puts the ball down on the ground and makes as if to kick it, but his precarious stance and 10 steps of wind... Oh, wait, what? And 10 steps of wind up are anything but encouraging. You hastily stop him before he can send the poor ball deep into the stratosphere. Here, let me... You gently kick the ball forward and upward with practiced finesse, like you've done countless times before. It flies over the busy street for far above the windshields of nearby cars at a controlled speed until it gently lands in the outstretched arms of one of the boys. I got it! Dude, that was a sick kick! The child who grabbed the ball, the same that asked for your help earlier, turns to look at you with a genuinely kind smile on his face. Thanks, Mr. Robot, sir. Mr. Robot, sir. You get called something new every day, indeed. As he heads back to the game he was playing with his friends, you can hear him approaching another one of his buddies with a proud look on his face. I told you, Wally, he's a lot nicer than Mom says he is. Aw. With the situation resolved and noticing the faint smile on your face as you turn away from the playing children, Nem returns to where he left off. Then again, you're also way better at playing ball than I was. The blush on your face briefly intensifies. Well, I got a lot of practice with it thanks to George. George? Your cousin? Yeah, my younger cousin. Then swiftly disappears. What with me having nearly no access to electronics and him often being grounded, we had to find new ways to have fun when he visited. I guess I had no choice but to get good at what little I could play. Yikes, no wonder you always had more fun with my games than I did. Sounds harsh, not gonna lie. Yeah, can't argue that. But hey, harsh as the circumstances were, we had fun with what we had. Tons of fun for that matter. It's a pleasant memory for sure, albeit pleasant doesn't quite do it justice. It's more so warm, sweet, alluring, intoxicating. Before you even know it, the dam is breached and more memories of your childhood come pouring in like a tidal wave. Mornings spent screwing around at your school desk, afternoons spent studying for tests together, evenings spent experimenting with the wildest games you could find. The days you spent babysitting George while his family was away, the afternoons you spent with your mom at the park on the weekends, the gentle touch of dad's hand on your forehead as you fought a fever in bed. Random memories, good and bad alike, all clashing together like dissonant taste in an overwhelming dish. You can't feel the heat without the cold aftertaste as well, the sweet without the sour. It feels rather nice reliving your past like this, and terrible too. I miss those days. Uh-huh? Nem turns to face you with a confused look in his eyes. Can't really blame him for it. You've sort of gone on a silent tangent in your head and left him behind until now. Sorry, I was just busy thinking about something. You take a moment to reorganize your thoughts, not wanting to sound completely out of left field to your friend. I don't know, I guess I'm just feeling nostalgic for the past is all. Everything was just so much simpler back then. So much brighter. And even though I still had no clue what my future was gonna look like, I at least felt like there was an invisible direction to my life. You and me, brother. That had to be better than whatever I'm feeling right now. Then again, that invisible direction ended up being a red herring as well. Your path ended where that wretched tumor began, with no other end in sight than the cold embrace of death. It's almost embarrassing in a way, whereas others like them were given a chance to follow their dreams and make something of their lives, you were given nothing but regret. And one final chance, of course. And even though the question that bothers you more than any other on most days is, did it work? Sometimes you can hear another voice in your head wondering if you deserve that chance to begin with. You really feel that way? Uh-huh. You once again fall from the clouds as them counters their argument right as you were about to have yet another quarrel with yourself in your head. I don't know, I don't think my past was all that exciting. Sure, sometimes I look at our time together with fondness, but I think that's just a feeling of nostalgia taking over. It's not because the past was actually fun to live through or anything. At the end of the day, there's nothing exciting about time spent playing for playing's sake or studying for studying's sake. Nothing particularly novel either, just the same childhood as most others, with very little making it special or unique. Well, that's certainly one way to feel about one's past. You had no idea Nem felt so strongly about his childhood. As far as you knew while growing up, he was always a cheerful and straightforward guy, and yet something about him how feels remarkably different from that boy you once used to do everything with. Or maybe you're just imagining things that again, courtesy of all the stress you're still digesting and the lost time you've yet to make up for. You decide to put that feeling at the back of your mind for now and try to continue the conversation from here. Then I take it you've got your eyes set on the future instead. Yep, you've got that right, and my future shines as bright as ever. I'll be a great streamer with tons of fans and an awesome reputation. That's all I can dream about. And knowing that the day when it all comes true gets closer and closer every time I wake up makes this all worth it. Wow. Quite bubbly. It would seem your friends just as jovial as ever at least. Just as reckless too. And yet this kind of enthusiasm is just what you need to avoid collapsing into a million pieces right now. Hey, that's a spirit. I'm sure you'll succeed if you keep at it. Honestly, I wish I could be this enthusiastic when I think of my future. Come on, Isaac. You're like a human thing. You know, the thing with unlimited money. Oh, come on. You've got the rest of eternity to look forward to. What's not exciting about that? You visibly shudder at the thought of spending the rest of the time in your current condition, but you try to avoid showing that to the well-meaning Drake. I don't know. Can't really picture the rest of eternity right now. I've got my sights trained a little closer to home. Mainly towards my actual home, now that it's as fractured as it gets, now that nearly all my relatives have pretty much abandoned me. Once again, Nem shies his gaze away from yours, looking uncomfortable at the direction this conversation suddenly took. Yeah, you said you wanted to try and find them again, didn't you? I can imagine how you must be hurting right now, not knowing where they are. Maybe your cousin George could help you out on this front. I'm sure he knows at least where some of them are. Not that I have many left, aside from his parents. The only relatives I have left are my other uncle and aunt and my mom. And I'm fairly certain he doesn't know where the ladders are hiding, you know? He did say my uncle and aunt are on one of their pilgrimages again, though maybe I could inquire a little further about that the next time I see him. Your friend appears a little confused at something you just said, though it's not what you initially assumed it was. Pilgrimage? Are you sure that's a real word? Huh? Yeah, of course it is. It's like a vacation, I think. For religious people, I mean? Well, no wonder I didn't know about it. I don't think anyone uses words like those anymore aside from cartoon villains. It does sound like something a cartoon villain would say. Like, allow me to embark you on your final pilgrimage. Nem immediately recoils in surprise at your vehement, excessive shouting. Wow, he had the right voice for it and everything. That's crazy. The two of you laugh at the awkward scene you're causing, glad that no one's around to witness you nerd out together like this. It's good to know you can still have light-hearted moments with your friends without your inner demons going wild on you all of a sudden. Anyway, other than my missing family, all I'm trying to do these days is keep myself together. Stay on top of things with Pandora, find time for all of my friends. Suddenly remember something you meant to ask your friend from the moment you first laid eyes on him today, but almost ended up forgetting. Speaking of, how's Daphne? I haven't had the chance to talk to her in a while. You're fairly certain you worded a rather simple question, yet Nem averts his gaze as if readying a very complicated answer. She's fine, I guess? Kind of? What do you mean? Well, she definitely hasn't been herself since last weekend. Or maybe it's more like she's more herself than ever? Yup, I hit the mic. Yup, very complicated indeed from the looks of it. What does that mean again in layman's terms? I don't know. She's always been unapproachable, but now she feels angry too. Angrier than usual anyway. I wonder what happened to her. Now it's your turn to ponder your answers carefully as you can. It's a little complicated. In spite of your best efforts to keep things vague, or perhaps precisely because of them, the dragon is quick to jump to terrible conclusions. Wait, you did say you were gonna invite her to our next outing, didn't you? Is that what caused all this somehow? No, not at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure she ended up liking that idea. It's just that an evil-looking thug who claimed she owed his gang money almost killed the two of you, and then a weird shapeless shadow started dropping nonsense on your heads like they were writing a fantasy novel. Yeah, you're probably better off not mentioning any of that if you had to guess. She's just got a lot on her mind right now is all. Once she's a little more free, I don't doubt she'd go back to her usual self and maybe even better than that. I hope so. I'd hate to find out this was all somehow my fault. I can guarantee you it wasn't. Now cheer up. Wait, did I hear it? Now cheer up. We've almost reached a store and we can't afford to enter with frowns on our faces. They probably sent the wrong message to the locals to say that least. Luckily, Nemabers recognizes the value in the words almost instantly and swiftly puts his words at rest for the time being. Yeah, I getcha. I'm sure you're right. Come on, let's go. Trying to make the best of your time together, you hastily make your way to the now fully visible supermarket around the corner, trying to look as excited as you do, so as excited as you can be about grocery shopping anyway. The doors to the supermarket part open with your approach, and soon you find yourself lost in a miasma of shapes, colors, and scents. This grocery store is about as gaudy as it gets in terms of presentation. The aisles extend as far as your eye can see, filled to the brim with foods from all over the country and beyond. An excellent place to restock on beverages and snacks for when you get bored, as well as more wholesome ingredients for when you're feeling a little more daring. Now that you think about it, you never had the chance to invite anyone over to your place yet, have you? Not even Apollo or Daphne, and they live just a few floors beneath you. It's a good thing you thought of it now. You don't currently have any plans for fancy dinners or wicked parties, but it never hurts to be prepared just in case. As you mull over such things, you notice Nim's arms trembling a little under some sort of pressure. Hey, are you alright? You don't look so good. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Just a little overwhelmed is all. I don't usually go to grocery stores this packed. He gestures at all the aisles around you as though he's venturing down an inescapable maze. You try to follow his gaze as he scouts the place, but all you can see are curious and frightened shoppers staring at you from afar, retreating away. Cloaked gasps and confused murmurs can be heard even over the peppy music radiating from the intercoms, and for a moment you can't help but wonder if it wasn't a mistake to bring your dragon friend along with you. You've become familiar with this kind of reaction at this point. I'm not entirely accustomed to it, but was it right of you to subject Nem to it as well, without so much as a warning? Excuse me? In the chaos, the two of you are approached by an employee of the store wearing its signature light green apron. You know this person from your prior visits. A somewhat shy badger in his early 20s, always looking like he's about to faint as he fiddles with his hands, yet he's the only one among the staff who ever came close to you. Probably because the rest of the team forces him to, if you had to guess. Good evening, Isaac. I see you're rather early today. Nothing else, he's trying his best to be polite in spite of his palpable fear. He even calls you by name, though you never gave it to him. Yeah, me and my friend decided to do a quick grocery run to grab some essentials. It's not a problem, right? The badger squints at the people nearby who temporarily pause their shopping to look in your direction with the wildest looks on their faces. Not exactly? I mean, you're not breaking any rules or anything by being here, but for the sake of our clients... You can sense your digital brow furrowing as you realize that there very much is a problem here. What about them? I don't recall you being worried about that the last few times I visited. Oh, well, that's because there weren't any. You always came by when we were about to close, remember? That you do. You always made an effort to come at the latest hour possible to avoid exactly this kind of situation. But still... Look, I understand I can be a little frightening to some people, but I'd also like to enjoy some time together with my friends for a change. Doing normal people stuff and all. Is it really too much to ask? The young man scratches the back of his neck nervously, but ultimately concedes your point with a sigh. But I can't really stop you from coming in, honestly, not like I even want to. But I gotta warn you, I can't stop the rest of the guests from being scared or worried either, so please avoid making a scene while you're here. Nem angrily looks at the badger, almost looking offended. I don't think you should be giving that warning to Isaac, jerk. Nem? Damn. Before you have time to stop the dragon from defending you further, you hear the badger sign whisper something behind your back as he leaves. Well, suit yourselves then. The young man leaves the two of you alone, putting an end to this brief yet thoroughly exhausting interaction. You turn to face your friend, an awkwardly apologetic look on your face. You didn't need to tell him that. I'm sure he meant well. You work a similar job yourself. You know you can't always tell customers what you really mean. Now it's Nem's turn to sigh as he replies. I know. Sheesh. I was just trying to help out. You don't have to look at me like that. Upon hearing the dragon's remarks, you try to mellow out your expression and tone down your voice, not wanting to give him the wrong impression. I know you were, and I'm grateful for that. Honest. I'm actually curious, Isaac, here, how tall he is. Like, is he that tall that everyone is like pissing themselves? I don't know. I guess all this negativity is starting to get to us a little. Yeah, not really used to all these looks we're getting. I'm sorry about that. Don't apologize. It's not your fault. Nim makes as if to say something, but ultimately relents at the last moment. You know what? Let's forget this all happened and get moving already. I don't want to see our time together ruined either. Now that's a sentiment you can share wholeheartedly. You give your friends a confident nod as you grab some shopping carts from the entrance and make your way to the store proper. So what do you usually buy? I make sure I'm always stocked on potatoes, tomatoes, and carrots since they're so versatile, and I think pomegranates should still be in season. Actually, I think I'm just gonna skip a little ahead if you don't mind. Your eyes widen as you turn to face the embarrassed dragon. Are you sure? Are you already good on this stuff? Not really. I just don't usually buy them is all. Isaac, read the mood, man. Guy has no money. Well, what do you usually buy? Instant noodles mostly, but also canned food, pre-made sandwiches, anything that can be cooked or eaten easily. He sent a word look on Nem's face, Nem's way as he not so silently questioned his lifestyle choices. That doesn't sound like a balanced diet at all. What? Of course it is. There's plenty of carbs, meat, fish, veggies, and that's just in the noodles. But none of it is fresh. I don't think you can really survive off of pre-packaged stuff alone. Weirdly you can. It's just not a healthy diet in the long run, but yeah. Of course I can. It's all super cheap. I don't think that's the main issue here. Why do you at least make your own sandwiches? It's not that hard. Nem turns to look at the nearby ingredients, an uncertain look on his face as he scans the various price tags. I don't know, this stuff looks kinda expensive and we haven't even seen what the bread prices are like. Relax, it's not nearly as expensive as you think and definitely less expensive than buying pre-made stuff. Here, let me. Start grabbing fruits and veggies alike and toss them into both your and your friend's shopping carts, making sure to go for the cheapest alternatives only as to try and minimize them's complaining. Gotta make sure to grab the butter. Are you kidding me? At $4 per bar? How are you supposed to cook without some butter in hand? Why would I want to cook at all? I said I don't like making my own food. Alright, I'll only take some for myself, you know. What about some ham and salami then? Those always go well with a sandwich. But these aren't even on discount. Let me do my own shopping already. It's kind of funny. No way, you're gonna catch food poisoning at the rate you're going. Just let me give you some pointers. But in spite of Nem's never-ending protest, you quickly lose yourself in the all-too-familiar routine practiced over decades of helping your parents whenever they went to the local supermarket. The dragon's uncharacteristic worries quickly fade from your mind as you move on to the meat aisle, then the egg corner, the oil section. It's only by the time you arrive at the long-awaited snacks and beverages area that you realize there's no trace of Nem at your side. Nem? Are you there? No answer, save for the confused looks of nearby shoppers. Maybe you got a little too lost in this routine. You briefly consider leaving your cards behind to better look for him in the previous areas you visited, but ultimately decide against it, not wanting to inconvenience the other clients. Now that you're alone with your thoughts and feelings, an unspeakable sensation that has been troubling you since you agreed with Nem to come here earlier today can be felt in your gut louder than ever. A feeling that something isn't quite right, that there's something odd with your friend's behavior. Isaac, the man's broke. I don't know, man. Or maybe with yours. It's self-evident by now that there's some sort of barrier between you that you can't quite pin down. Some unrecognizable distance that you never felt before in your time together. Before you became synthetic anyway. It could be that you become too overbearing for your own good, and that's what's bothering them about your behavior. But his overfixation on the price and readiness of use of the food you're buying is simply too concerning to ignore. You never saw him this stressed out about simple shopping before. Something's definitely wrong with him, that's what your instinct tells you. Perhaps he has changed in some kind of unrecognizable way. Perhaps you've changed in far more immediately apparent ways. And perhaps the culprit could be something else entirely. You give a few careful glances at the mounting number of shoppers staring in your direction from nearby aisles, likely wondering what's wrong with you all of a sudden. Whether you're alone or with others, you can never shake off the sensation of being constantly spied on, judged, and ridiculed. Could it be that this is the true driver of your mutual uneasiness, the real cause of all the troubles you've encountered so far? Could this suffocating atmosphere of confusion and unrest be responsible for everything you... Hey, you alright? A familiar voice interrupts you in the middle of your quiet mumblings, taking you by surprise. Oh, thank God it's Nem, man. I thought Isaac here is about to have a breakdown again in public. Nem approaches you from behind with a confused look on his face as though he didn't just disappear while you weren't looking. You don't look so good. Oh, sorry, I was just wondering where you went. The confused look on the dragon's face only intensifies at your explanation. Really? I don't think I went too far away. I was talking with a badger guy from earlier, just a few aisles over. I thought I told you I'd leave for a while, but maybe I was a little too quiet about it. Or maybe you were just so busy running your errands that you didn't notice. That's alright. No need to look sorry about it. It's not a big deal. And speaking of, what did you talk with that worker guy about? Was something the matter? Oh, not really. All he wanted was to ask a few questions about me. Yeah, you. Not too surprising, all things considered. These days, it feels like everyone's talking about you. And very rarely do you have a speaking role in these conversations. I suppose it could have gone worse, all things considered. Questions sure a bit complaining. What did he ask? Just a few things. He wanted to know how I managed to talk to you without being scared to death. To which I replied, rude? Why would anyone be scared of him? And he was like, everyone. The customers, the other employees, just about everyone I know. But you seem to handle it well, so what's the trick? I swear, some people just can't hear how rude they sound when they speak. Yeah, that sounds really rude. You know, it's kinda... That's messed up, man. That's messed up. It's like... It's not really shocking. You know. Weird... Didn't like... There was like a... Skynet kind of thing, Terminator level of threat in their history like 100 years prior, but that was like 100 years ago. Really, 100 years is a long time for normal people, and it would be forgotten pretty quick. You instinctively scratched the back of her neck at Nem's retelling, not really surprised about what happened as her friend appears to be. Well, can you blame him, Nem? Half the country thinks I'm a murder machine in the making. Not without reason, you think to yourself as you recall the other night's events, but the dragon probably doesn't need to hear that part. Honestly, I'm glad he's trying to get better at it at least. Not everyone would have the courage to even ask that. I know, it's just so weird hearing people say that about my friend. It's like they're talking about a completely different person. Yeah, that kinda sucks, yeah. You visibly shiver as you try to shy away from that mental image and refocus the conversation into something else. I assume you didn't share these views either, before you found out I'd become a synthetic, I mean. The dragon's pensive gaze turns towards the ceiling, evidently lost in thought. Not sure, honestly. I don't think I had any strong opinions either way. I mean, seeing you for the first time at the bar was a little scary. Must have been because of all the nasty rumors floating around at the bar. But aside from that, I hardly even knew synthetics were a thing. Really? You weren't interested? Find that shocking to hear, though you can't quite explain why. But the synthetic's purpose to let people live forever, in theory at least. Once they're cleared for public use, you could become one and never have to worry about anything again. You wouldn't need to eat or drink or sleep anymore. You wouldn't have to die. Granted, you had no idea synthetics existed either before Mary appeared like an angel by your hospital bed that fateful day. But it's hard to remember that tiny detail, lost in this conversation as you are. Oh, of course, all these hinges on synthetics are actually working as intended, but you said you believe it's really me inside here, so why aren't you excited about this technology? The dragon's gaze turns to the ground as he tries to put his murky thoughts into words. I think it's a matter of like, once you have no limits, no expiration date, that kind of puts things into another perspective, right? Then again, depends on the people. Unlimited time might make you lazy. Unlimited time might be the opposite of laziness. I don't know. The dragon's gaze turns to the ground as he tries to put his murky thoughts into words. Well, it's not like I'm gonna be able to afford this technology once it comes out, right? It's probably gonna cost a fortune just to get put on a waiting list. Nem's sound, almost cynical reasoning quickly takes you by surprise. You think so? Yeah, why wouldn't it be expensive? I mean, you said it yourself. Synthetics are basically a cure-all for everything, aren't they? Oh, sorry. Hunger, thirst, even death itself. I don't think something like that would come cheap. I see what you mean. Odd, in spite of how reasonable this argument is, you're fairly certain this is the first time you've ever heard of it. It makes sense though, doesn't it? Pandora isn't a charity by any means. At this point, you're not even sure charities even exist anymore. Mary never told you why she began working on synthetics, but judging by her superior's reactions from the other day, you can tell they didn't choose to finance this project out of sheer altruism alone. Yep, they finance it out of money. Once all is said and done, just how much is the transition going to cost? Millions? Billions? Will it cover the body as well, or just the procedure? Is there even going to be any insurance at all? Your scientist friend did say the transition was going to be affordable sometime last week, but who knows what that even means at this point, or even if it can take the Siamese at their word. Just thinking about how miserable it feels to have eternal life a finger's width away and being unable to purchase it almost makes you puke. But you won't have to worry about any of it. After all, you skip past all that for free. Hey, what are you looking like that for? As if somehow aware of the dark waves the current whirlings are riding on, Nem tries his best to grab her attention once again, an upbeat smile on his face. Don't look so upset. I'm happy for you, really. You had an opportunity and took it, same as I did, same as we all should. There's nothing shameful about that. In fact, you should be proud. Not everyone would have had the guts to go through what you did, with no guarantee they'd even get what they wanted. A bittersweet smile forms on her visor as you retreat away from the dragon, an invisible and highly embarrassing warmth flooding your senses. Was I mumbling stuff out loud again? Just a little. Could barely catch you with your funky robot voice, but I didn't like what I was hearing. Nem's smile is contagious and you quickly overcome your awkwardness thanks to his wholesome enthusiasm. We all need a Nem in our life, man. Damn, I'm really glad you feel that way. Not everyone is as kind and thoughtful as you are. Don't worry, Isaac. Just trying to be of help. Besides, not being able to afford the transition doesn't bother me. It's a little early for me to start worrying about sickness, death, the afterlife, and all that jazz. No offense, of course. None taken. You were saying? The dragon crossed his arms as he silently wonders just what he was trying to say. Well, I think that was about it, really. I mean, sure, I'll have to worry about all that stuff eventually, but what's the point of starting now? If I gotta aim my sights in the future, I might as well aim at things I can actually control. Like my new streaming. His eyes suddenly sparkle with shocking glee as he turns to address you, a hopeful look on his kind face. Ah, wait, this reminds me, you never told me how that talk with your boss went. Are we gonna be able to stream together after all? And here it is. You had a feeling you'd get to talk about this stuff sooner or later. Just the mere mention of this topic brings some interesting memories at the forefront of her mind. Memories of her talk with Jasper at the restaurant and with Natalie on the train. Where to even begin? Probably from answering your friend's question, if you had to guess, it wouldn't do well to get carried away already. I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to talk to her like I hoped I would. I did learn some useful stuff though, even if it's not exactly good stuff. The dragon raised an eyebrow at your suspicious response. What do you mean? You make as if to answer, but you find yourself hesitating. Opening up about this topic likely means sharing some crucial details with your friend that you're not sure should be openly discussed. You recall Jasper saying that it didn't really matter if people knew the truth behind Pandora and the rest of the world or not, but you're not so sure about that. After all, learning all these terrible things shook you to your very core. Who's to say Nem would be just as disturbed or worse? But is that what's really stopping me from telling him all this? No. The uncomfortable feeling in your stomach that has resurfaced after all your pondering leaves many doubts in the matter. Isaac? Isaac, are you alright? You went quiet all of a sudden again. As usual, it's Nem's duty to bring you back to your senses and away from your nagging demons. You instinctively dart your head around as if to visibly shake your nasty thoughts off of you, and you quickly realize that a large crowd has formed near the end of the aisle. Seeing as almost every shopper in the store can be counted in their number, you assume they're perplexed onlookers gathered there over time as a result of your lengthy conversation with your friend. Are we bothering them by chance? I mean, we have been talking for quite a while now. I don't think so. Listen, if you're here shopping and you're not busy enough to just observe two people talking, yeah, they're not bothered. If they are, they would visibly say something. Or just get out of the store. An intangible light bulb figurative manifests in your head as you find a perfect answer to their problems. Sorry, just realized we've been hanging in the same spot for a few minutes already. Probably not very nice of us now that I think about it. Mind moving somewhere else before I tell you? Nim appears a little unsure, almost annoyed at your suggestion, but nods his head firmly nevertheless. Fair point. Let's get going. You grab your carts and make your way out of the aisle, heading opposite the swarming crowd on the other end. As you leave, your friend can't stop himself from shouting a final time at the murmuring masses. And for the record, we all know you don't need fries and fizzy drinks this bad. Get a life already. You can't imagine all those people being anything less than stunned as Nim effortlessly turns tail and walks away alongside you. Even if it's a little too spunky for his own good sometimes, you really suppose the boy's right in the end. Snacks and fizzy drinks really aren't worth these kinds of Western-style standoffs with total strangers. Either way, you make sure not to pay this final interaction any mind as you quietly leave the area, heading for the closest, most empty corner of the store you can find. It's only once he's sure that no one's around to bother the two of you that Nim tries addressing you once again. So, you were saying? The hopeful look in Nim's eyes makes it clear that he expects you to continue the conversation from where you left off. Even if you still have doubts as to whether it's the correct thing to do, I probably shouldn't tell him if I had to guess. However, at this point, you breathe a helpless sigh as you realize that it's probably too late to go back on your word. Your friend deserves to know why his proposal is more complicated than he thinks, and everything else that entails too. But I learned some pretty weird stuff talking with the CEO of Pandora the other day, and they have a lot to do with your suggestion. You talk with the CEO of Pandora? The dragon appears rather surprised to hear that for whatever reason. Sounds scary. What are they like? He's an asshole. Nim's eyes widened at her curt reply, evidently taken aback by how quick it was. Oh, yeah? I guess I should have seen it coming. Yeah, don't even get me started on him. I got enough to say about him to last the rest of the day, and that's probably not what you're here for. Oh. Well, fair enough. But anyways, we talked a bunch, and well, you give your friend a final uncertain look before you move on with the conversation, still feeling like you're making a huge mistake, shedding light on these sunken mysteries. Did you know all news networks, social media companies, and similar stuff are all controlled by one company? As expected, Nim raised an eyebrow at your unexpected revelation. You mean Pandora? No, it's another one called Prometheus or something. Totally different crew and all. Ah, I see. He remains quiet for a while, likely trying to process what you just told him. You expected that, of course. It's quite a lot to take in, indeed. Takes him a few moments to speak again, but when he does, I assume this means they own the streaming service I'm on too. Sounds real complicated indeed. Yeah, because it's a rival company. His reply leaves you totally speechless. You don't seem all that bothered by it. What, about them being a different company? Oh, I'm bothered, alright? It'll probably take tons of time to reach an agreement, lots of contracts that'll need to be signed, and... no, I mean about the one company owning everything behind the scenes part. Pretty sure Nim is like, kinda makes sense. You raise your voice without even realizing, forcing Nim to take a few steps back. In your distress, you hardly notice it. You barely even flinch when you heard that. Does it really not bother you that all streaming services, news corporations, social networks, and who knows what else are all just the work of one company? Not gonna lie, it kinda is. The dragon's gaze turns inquisitive as though trying to assess what has you so up in arms all of a sudden. I mean, it sounds crazy, alright, but not that unbelievable either. Doesn't everybody already believe that? And behind the scenes, everything's secretly owned by a few wealthy billionaires? Do they really? Yeah, they do. Your anger swiftly replaced with shock and dejection, and it doesn't even look like Nim's anywhere near done. Yeah, I mean, no one will openly admit it, and you'll probably get called a conspiracy theorist for saying that out loud, but come on now. It's obvious. You can just feel that something's off with the world without needing to know it. The dragon's explanation is unintuitive and nebulous and weirdly logical all at once. He claims everyone knows deep down that the world's different from how it appears at first glance. That's what Jasper said too, and Natalie as well, if you stretch your words a tad. It would just mean that Isaac is the kind of guy that, like, he has his own bubble, doesn't know what's happening around the world, or any conspiracy for that matter. He stays in his lane, like really stays in his lane. You're not sure what to make of all this, or if any of this. You try your best to continue the conversation, hoping to get to the bottom of this sudden feeling of insecurity that has taken a hold of you. I guess I can see where you're coming from, but I still don't get why you look so unfazed about it all. I could barely look at Jasper, the CEO, straight when he told me all that. Nimrin's expression almost imperceptibly sours upon hearing your question, as though suddenly lost in deep thought. Didn't I say it earlier? It just seems kinda pointless to worry about stuff I can't change anyway. Yeah, I think that's pretty much summarized what Nem is. The world really is all headed by shady businessmen. In reality, as we know it, is all smoke and mirrors. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? What is anyone supposed to do about it? The dragon's words are so overwhelming, you almost don't notice yourself backing away at the mere sound of them, as if trying to avoid a massive avalanche barreling your way. And still you try your best to stay composed. I don't know. Nothing. The answer is nothing. Just like the aftermath of an avalanche, what follows is a long, nerve-wracking quiet. Let's not fool ourselves, Isaac. We're too small to matter in the grand scheme of things. We can't change the way the world works. Even if we knew how to, we're just two small voices in a vacuum, hardly even relevant. All we can do is just live life the best we can in the world we were given. I don't think there's much point in worrying any further than that. The quiet continues, at least for you. Every sentence that comes out of Nem's mouth feels like a dagger twisting further and further into her skin. It's not like he's doing it on purpose, of course. This anxiety, this sense of helplessness, these are yours and yours only. Maybe because deep down you feel the same way as the dragon does. Maybe because you've secretly had similar thoughts for quite a while now and never paid them any mind before. Maybe because you never realized that Nem felt this way underneath his kind and cheerful exterior. Upon noticing the gloomy atmosphere that's taken hold of you both, Nem tries his best to get out of this unexpectedly dark conversation. Maybe I got a little too real there. Sorry. It's alright. I thought that was actually really interesting to hear from you. For lack of a better term. I guess all I'm trying to say is that I had no idea you'd have so much to say about this. When I learned about all this stuff, I was completely speechless. Yeah, sounds about right for you. You were always too shy for your own good. Hey! The cheery chuckling that comes out of Nem's lips is not quite enough to improve your mood, but you try your best to appreciate his attempt nonetheless. But yeah, I guess all I was trying to say is that I try not to let it bother me, so all, and neither should it bother you. You're synthetic now, Isaac. You're above this stuff. You can lead your life however you want without having to worry about all this nonsense. I actually kinda envy that. That wide smile spreading on Nem's lips is all about reassuring in spite of how much you wish it was. You can lead your life however you want, he says, if only things were truly so simple. If only he knew how terribly you feel deep inside. But he doesn't need to hear that. Your reason, he already shares enough of your burden by simply being around you as is. Or you attempt a timid smile is to try to continue the conversation on an upbeat note. I'm not too sure about that, but thanks, I guess. Don't sweat it. I hardly even did anything. Though if you really want to thank me, you could always try talking to one of your bosses and find out if we can do that stream together after all. You can't help but roll your eyes at Nem's unprompted joke, though you hope he didn't see that. Alright, I was gonna do that already. I knew I could count on you. The two of you begin to move away from your cozy spot in the corner of the grocery store, trying to return to what you were doing before. Sorry, whatever this was happened. You have quite a lot to think about, especially after hearing Nem's thoughts on the matter, but you try your best to push them to the back of your mind for the time being. God knows he doesn't need to see you looking even more conflicted about everything that you already are. During this attempt at keeping your words in lockdown that recalls something you meant to ask him a few minutes ago. By the way, you never told me what you replied to that Badger guy earlier. Oh, that's alright. Jeez, we got more than a little sidetrack back there. Nem doesn't need some time to remember his exact words, but it doesn't take long for his lips to spread into a familiar kind of smile. I just told him that I don't see you as this crazy murder monster everyone's talking about. I just see the same old friend I used to have as a kid. The one who got bullied by his classmates, yelled at by his parents, even got spooked by a butterfly one time. Damn. Hey, you said you wouldn't mention that again. The dragon laughs at your playful bashfulness, happy to see that you haven't changed much since your long past childhood. But yeah. Kinda hard to be scared by a big softy with a heart of gold like that, isn't it? That's what I think of Isaac, man. This guy's too innocent. Weirdly enough. Yeah, I guess it kinda is, huh? You chuckle at your friend's kind remark, though your gaze betrays your uncertainty. You think back to the last few days and everything you've said and done since you were allowed to live your days on your own. Hard to imagine that the android who yelled at police officers, beat up hooligans, and suddenly knows how deep and dark the proverbial rabbit hole really is could be the same being as that clueless, fearful kid from way back when. Hard to believe too. You finish your shopping spree a few minutes later after grabbing a few more essentials. You haven't heard a word from them for a while now, and even you have been too focused on your errand to keep up the conversation. At least the other shoppers didn't try to bother you again during this time either. All in all, you can't exactly complain about the situation. When the two of you reach the cash register, you finally notice your friend's card is a whole lot emptier than yours. A whole lot less diverse too, in spite of your best efforts. You have a mind to say something about that, but you decide not to at the last moment. You feel like you've nagged him enough about it as it is. All you can do at this point is hope that Nem knows what he's doing. You begin to get the items out of your cart and onto the scanner, board one at a time, watching the rising price counter with indifferent eyes. What with how little you've costed Pandora in terms of groceries so far, you doubt this little splurge will affect your monthly allowance all that much. Partways though your efforts though, you hear your friend quietly curse at the scanners using evidently displeased. 77 and 53 cents? What are you talking about? I better grab anything. That's definitely over budget. Nem eyes the previous scanned items at the other end of the counter, giving the ones you took for him an especially disappointing glare. Then lets out a surprising neutral size, he puts some of the groceries back into the cart. No big deal, I just returned some of this stuff and called it a day. I didn't need all these things any... Hey, what are you doing? Nem's taking it back as you nonchalantly approach his cash register, your right hand reaching out to the device. You've seen Arthur do this a couple of times now, but this is your first time trying this out on your own. You're not too scared though. If it's anything like surfing the web, in your head it should feel pretty straightforward to you. Once you're close enough, you give the tally of the dragon's expenses a puzzled look. It doesn't seem all that high to you for what it's worth, but that could simply be because the money's mattered less and less to you ever since you become a synthetic. If your friend needs his money, the least you can do is just swipe your hand in front of the screen. And that's where it begins. Uh-oh. What did you do? Oh god. I'm saving this for everybody. This is gonna be one. I kinda expected them the kind of guy that, you know, doesn't want any help, very independent, and would be hella pissed. So yeah, that's the end of the video, everybody. I'll be seeing you in the next No More Future. See ya! Good luck on whatever you're doing.